Hi, this is Karen. Today is incredibly distressing for me because this morning in one of these suggested videos that appeared on YouTube was that of Paranormal X. What surprised me was the title that was to do with connecting with Stephen Hawking. Now, I'm going to read you what I wrote this morning on Facebook because I feel it's important to note a few things. Anyone who has contact with spirit, especially a medium, would know that the soul's transition is one that takes that soul some time to settle. Just as we grieve for the loss of somebody, so does the soul as it has a new form, a new type of existence, and it is in its most vulnerable stages, especially in its few hours or day of leaving that body. Now, think about this for a moment. If a soul has just left its body and it has not fully crossed over to the other side yet, there's a lot of things that can restrain it. There are a lot of demons. As we all know, they do exist. And especially given that Paranormal X, Mark Smith, and Proving Demons, they both have had in their claim connection with demons. So why would they stoop to such a level as to contact, or attempt to make contact, I should say, with a person whose body, whose physical form is not even cremated or in the ground yet? This person is laying in a morgue. Their relatives are no doubt grieving the sudden loss. Now, it was to no surprise that he was, as everyone will at some time, succumb to passing. But it all comes down to respect. To hide behind a cloak saying that the reason this was done was out of respect, I call it BS. Because if they had respect, the type of respect would be shown in demonstrating a video as a tribute to that person's passing, by speaking about the wonderful things that they contributed to our world. They would not be trying to use a device, especially a spirit box, to call that soul. Now, if there are others out there doing exactly the same thing, think about what is going on at the moment. What do you think, especially when it comes to celebrities, and regardless of whether it's a celebrity or just, your normal relative who has no celebrity status, it is a complete disrespect to that passing soul to call out to them in that selfish time where it is exploiting that person's intent and right to be at peace. It is exploiting it over the radio with celebrities and people who are famous, such as Stephen Hawking. In his own right, he is famous because he's an incredible, amazing man whose work has transformed many, have given so much insight with his knowledge. I mean, it's no wonder as a child he was referred to as Einstein. And how sad that, you know, this poor man was trapped in such, you know, a prison of a body for so long after succumbing to ALS. But besides that, yes, he's free now. But does that give anybody the right to be abusing this time where he has the right to cross over to his paradise? Does it give anybody the right to call them back? To use that time where they could be meeting up with their loved ones on the other side, spending a little time, the quality time they have here before crossing into that veil fully, to, you know, console their loved ones. Over the radio and the television and any other type of broadcast media, especially with celebrities, will be talk of these people. Be it a brief discussion, like, you know, wasn't it sad that Mr. Hawkins has passed today, or what have you. Any type of discussion, it will be public knowledge. The other thing is, when people in the paranormal go out of their way to use spirit boxes in order to make contact and so on with a celebrity or someone who has just passed, they will be getting 99.9% of that session as pareidolia. This is making not only a mockery out of research of the paranormal, it is showing shame, absolute shame and lack of respect for those who are now in the spirit realm. How do you not know that in calling back that soul for your ego trip of having a video up, showing the world, oh, look at me, I've contacted or I've tried to make contact with this person who has just died. Look at me. Look at me. That's all it is. Look at me. You're an attention-starved egomaniac who has no regard for the other side if you do something like this for someone who has just left this world. Allow them time. Give them months, as you would want someone to give you time to cross over without being called back or held back and possibly restrained by demons that are actually among us. You don't know what forces are out there trying to take as many souls as they can with them to the underworld. And by doing this to a soul who has just left its form, you are putting their life as a spirit in the hands of the darkness. These people, these souls, need to cross over. They are not going to be going out of their way to speak through spirit boxes and so on until they have settled. And if they do, you are misleading them. You are misguiding that spirit. They may be hearing their name called, thinking it's their angels calling out to them, only to discover that they are in the home of some ignorant pig who has some ego trip happening. Because they're filming and they want to be the first to put that up. If you truly respected that person, as I said, you would make a video tribute. There is nothing wrong with doing that. You will still get the attention you want. You will still get the likes, but probably not as much hate. Now, the message that I left on Facebook today, I'm not ashamed to read it out. And some of it will be stating what I've just mentioned. Here goes. 34 minutes ago, I wrote, I'm incredibly upset to discover that someone in the paranormal field I once held respect for has chosen to pull a huff by yesterday, following the death of Steve Hawking, attempt contact with his soul before his body is laid to rest. I find this to be outrageous for the following reasons. The topic of every broadcast radio and television would be speaking of the recently deceased. Therefore, there is no way to 100% validate that there is or isn't contact, as pareidolia would be heavily contaminating the session. Just as the living needs time to adjust to loss, so too the newly departed need time to adjust to their new form of existence. Let the souls settle on the other side before calling their name. With early attempts to call a person who has just died, I fear it places them in a vulnerable situation where demons can restrain that soul, causing it to become earthbound. So let them have their time to settle in the new world first. Wait at least a month or a few months before trying to make contact. Regardless of what reasons the person seeking contact hides behind, trying to suggest they are doing the contact out of respect of a newly departed, do not believe it. This is in the worst taste and shows incredible lack of respect, not just for the deceased person, but also the grieving family, especially given Steve Hawkins' body still currently lays in a cold morgue awaiting his burial or cremation. If they truly had wanted to speak of the deceased and feel it necessary to make a public video so soon following the announcement, what is wrong in making a tribute video or saying a prayer for their souls crossing in settling into the new world? It disgusts me to no end that people who rush out to get contact are demonstrating the evil side of the paranormal research in falling victim to the suggestive negative souls that walk among us, saying, "Go on, contact them. You'll get clicks and gain popularity if you do." This is clearly a case of ego versus respect, and no matter what, you cannot mix the two to justify making any sort of video contact session that hinders the right to a peaceful transition to the new world. Shame on them and anyone else who does this the same day that a person has died. Karen. I hope that this message is received by those who are even thinking or contemplating doing such a thing. You need to know that there is good and there is evil. It is a real thing. It is not made up. It is not fantasy. There really is evil that walks among us. And I'm telling you now, he wants to take as many souls with him to that underworld before the end of time. And you are helping him. You are helping him by contacting those newly deceased souls and calling them and holding them back. You are ineffectively restraining them from the right to a free passage to the new world. You are restraining that soul. You might as well say you're employed by the devil himself to hold back as many souls as you can. Please, I implore you, respect the dead. Give them time to be fully behind that veil. Give the families time to grieve. I find it absolutely disgusting that I've even had to come to this point of pointing out the damn obvious, which grown-up people such as yourself should already have knowledge of, especially if you call yourself a medium.